Okay, hello everybody. First of all, thank you and welcome to the 2017 Passaic NAACP Luncheon Freedom Award. We want to thank each and every one of you for coming. It is our purpose to try to build this organization and organize with other various organizations in the community, particularly our churches. It's important for us that we bring this organization back to where it once was. I think it's vitally important that we touch bases with each and every one of our African American members in this community to try to reorganize and build what we once had in this community. I'm going to pass this over to our mistress of ceremonies, which is Nikki Merritt.
Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. Hey, how's everybody doing? Good. Thank you all for coming. We've already gotten our program started. Let's have a hand for our president of the Passaic branch of the NAACP, Jeffrey Dodd. We hope that you guys will enjoy yourselves this afternoon. We hope that we have a great time today. We have some wonderful, distinguished honorees in the building. But we're going to get the program started. Is that all right? Yeah. Okay. So first, we're going to ask Reverend Teresa Nance to come up, do our invocation and blessing of the food.
Yeah. This mistress of ceremony, after she got her degree, she came back to Passaic. I think that's her. Let us look to the Lord. Father God, we come before you in the name above every name, the name of Jesus Christ. We come today to echo the same sentiments that Fannie Lou Hamer asked years ago, is this America? We come today to say we ain't gonna let nobody turn us around. Bad grammar, perfect declaration. We come to say that we're gonna keep on keeping on because it's the right thing to do. Most of all, we've come to say that we are grateful for the honorees today in the persons of Dr. McKinney, Dr. McDowell, Dr. Merritt, and for the speakers. We ask that you bless the food and certainly the hands that prepared it. We are so glad this young man has decided to walk by faith and not by sight, by opening this grand facility. We ask that as we leave from this place, Lord Jesus, that you maintain your spirit in us. And all the saints of God said, amen.
Thank you, Reverend Nance. Let's have another hand for Reverend Nance. We're going to move right along, follow suit by having our Black National Anthem, and that's going to be by Reverend Tiffany McCutcheon.
Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring. Ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the
but every time I sing that song, my soul just, I'm getting like my dad now. But that's what we stand on. That's the foundation of this organization. That's the foundation of our roots. All right, moving right along. We're going to ask Steve Allen to come up, the former president of the Passaic branch of the NAACP, to give us a brief history of this illustrious organization. Let's hear it for him.
Yes, I think the last time many of you saw me, I didn't wear glasses. Good afternoon. I want to thank President Dye and Secretary Woodson for inviting me to say a few words. As one of a long line of past presidents, both men and women of the Passaic branch NAACP. And when you get a chance, look at the displays. What I'm going to talk about is brief. There's a lot of history up here before and after me. You might even see your picture. Like many of you, I've always been active. While a student at Rutgers in New Brunswick, I joined the Committee for Unified North Congress of African People, Black nationalist group, led by poet laureate Amiri Baraka. I gained information about my identity, purpose, and direction from a Black perspective, unlike the high school student that I was, who didn't join former quarterback Reverend McKinney and others who led a 2 or 3 day takeover of the auditorium, demanding that Black studies be included in the curriculum. I guess I wasn't used to folks telling me what to do when Pernell Young came to Miss Plain's class and said, "Steve, you're Black, get down there." Baraka stressed the importance of forming alliances and coalitions with churches and other organizations like the NAACP to make the most of our communities. He said that kazi, the Kiswahili word for work, is the blackest of all. It also didn't hurt that my role models, Jefferson and Helen Allen, were both active in the community and church. In our history, Mr. Axum, the Dean of Black Barbers in Passaic, said NAACP meetings began in the home of my grandmother, Mrs. Laura Harmon, upstairs on the corner of Myrtle Avenue and Harrison Street. Another woman who's pictured here, Mrs. Hazel Reuter, was one of my Sunday school teachers at William Chapel. So I have a personal connection. I came back from Newark, and in 1976 I attended an NAACP meeting and later became chapter secretary. It was only natural that another poet's voice, chapter president Herman Bennett Jr., drew me to a meeting. He's pictured here. I was impressed that he spoke up at public meetings, was in the news, and that he and then Vice President Katie Hooks had Mr. Gil Noble from TV's Like It Is program speak at our luncheon. Years later as president, from 1980 to 84, our speakers included one of our own, H. Alonzo Jennings, the director of the Philadelphia Afro-American Historical Museum. Some of what we did back then, and I say we, because we had a core group of committee chairpersons and workers. We had membership breakfasts, community service award brunches, solidarity demonstration in Washington, D.C. We actively participated in the NAACP, and you will see it, on the state, regional, and national levels, supporting the United Negro College Fund, marching with the Patterson NAACP in the winter, in the snow, from Rosa Parks to Eastside High School for the Martin Luther King program. We stood up for our Black women, former NAACP Vice President Katie Hooks and Marguerite Page. They were both Board of Education candidates. they had different styles. But when Miss Hooks lost by a mere 17 votes, she was criticized by the Education Association of Passaic for questioning the outcome. Some people would ask for a recall. After the Passaic Valley Conference, the PVC, which many of us competed in, and I have some pictures there, which is now defunct, we successfully protested discrimination in the Northern New Jersey Interscholastic League, NNJIL, for not admitting Patterson Eastside, Patterson Kennedy, and Passaic. We were successful in getting into the league. It might have been because we were beating most of those teams. We also joined others in the community. We made alliances and coalitions. We paid for ads in the newspaper. We had rallies, and our youth branch, led by Harry Johnson, did a 5-mile voter registration walk through all 4 wards. And we successfully defeated former Mayor LaParry's referendum for an appointed school board. And then the lady sitting at the table right here, Mrs. Maxine Baker, who later became president, she lobbied for a fair selection process or lottery for the Chestnut Street housing development. But the most important thing of all of this is we had publicity. I must admit that we were unsuccessful in getting a civilian police review board. I was also the Department of Human Resources Director for the City of Passaic with Health, Recreation, Welfare, Senior Affairs, and Head Start, working under 3 mayors. And I think some people might have thought that it was a conflict that when I was in NAACP, I was putting on my citizen hat. But we brought attention to alleged police misconduct. There was an incident where a police officer beat a young boy who was accused of breaking into a store at night. We were able to obtain the services of Attorney Joseph Charles, who later became Hudson County Assemblyman. And then there was a time, with the help of my classmate, and I believe one of your officers now, Gerald Chambers, who was then the president of the Committee for a Better Passaic, who, unbeknownst to me, invited the community to one of our meetings at Mount Zion Baptist Church regarding the spraying of mace in the face of a woman who failed to move her double-parked car outside of the stadium after a football game. I think that was one of Reverend McKinney's parishioners. We raised these and other issues at city council meetings, and our 3rd Vice President, Reverend James Howell, and I met with Police Chief Kenneth Hill. I remember Ken Hill said something to me about, come on, Steve, we're both Rutgers men. You know, we really don't need that, but we didn't get it. I think in Newark they do have that today, under the son of Amir Baraka, Ras Baraka, the Honorable Ras Baraka. It's important to note, in fact, remarkable, looking back in the pictures here, that we donated monies to the Passaic Police Department's Pledge Vest. There's a photo, I think, with Detective Lieutenant Krishola. Now the script is flipped. And ironically, years later, many of us wonder if we can be safely protected from law enforcement. Our thanks goes out to strong women who showed up and continue to do so, and the men in our meetings, churches and mosques, to the Black Ministerial Alliance of Passaic and vicinity, and they're listed there, for permitting us to meet at your houses of worship after the Passaic branch headquarters moved out of past President Dr. Wallace Haddon's office. And folks didn't have to go up and down all those stairs. There's a picture of the office there. I thank Phil Evangelista and Helen Gately of the Passaic Citizen, because I was allowed to submit pictures and a caption in articles, and I think at some point they figured out that if people saw their pictures in the paper, they would buy the paper. So So they worked really closely with me. If I submitted something, they put it in. Also, there was Reverend Dr. Walter Taylor from the Galilee United Methodist Church, and some of the articles are there about the torchbearer, which he allowed me to have a column in News from Passaic. There was also a Patterson column, Bergen column, and an Essex County column. And then I want to thank two other reporters, Sonini Bryant, who used to work for the Patterson News, and then our own Reverend Teresa Grants. I'm saying it wrong. Teresa Nance. Please don't hold it against me. There's an article there where she wrote when we had our Martin Luther King program. Back then, that was our social media, and it got the word out. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, do for self. And I think what he meant was, don't depend on someone else. That was 35 years ago. We now have the technology, writers, cameras, smartphones, which we use for everything else. We need to write a book, create a photo journal, instead of someone else doing one about us and winning an award. We have to commit to do it, preserve our history, and teach the children and some of us older young folks for generations to come. My dad used to say, the more you know you don't know. What he meant was never stop growing, never stop learning. Thank you.
Let's hear it again from Mr. Steve Allen, former president of the Passaic branch of the NAACP. All right, I'm going to do a few shout-outs. Is that okay? Is that okay? All right, we'll shout a few important people out. All right. Well, you all are important. You are. So first off, let's shout out God for being the head of our lives. Even though he's already addressed us, let's just give a hand for the president of the Passaic branch of the NAACP, Jeffrey Dye. We want to shout out Chief McCrary from the Passaic County Sheriff's Department. We have Bruce James from the Passaic County Freeholder Board. We have Freeholder T.J. Best from the Passaic County Freeholders Board. And we'll get to some more shout outs, but this one is going to be Sheila Oliver, Assemblywoman, and also candidate for Lieutenant Governor. Now, we're about to hear from Ms. Sheila Oliver, but we want to just let you know that a voteless people is a hopeless people. Now, this event is about community empowerment. So we want our people to get out to vote. Amen? Amen. I'm sorry, I know we're not in church, but amen? Amen. All right, so let's hear from Sheila Oliver at this time.
Well, good afternoon. It's a pleasure and an honor and a privilege for me to be here with the Passaic chapter of the NAACP. But I'm going to say the full name, the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. I would like to congratulate the chapter president, Jeffrey Dye. I think he has done a phenomenal job getting all of us here this afternoon. It's not easy providing leadership to an organization. And it's not easy providing leadership to us. And I think that he has stepped into his season of leadership. I've known Jeffrey for a while now, and I have watched him grow and develop, and I'm very proud of the community leader that he is becoming in Passaic. So, I've been loving the backdrops. I am a lover of history. Absolutely, I just drink it up. And as I've watched the images projected for us this afternoon, all I could think about, look at our lives today and listen and remember what their lives were like. When I see a photo of Sojourner Truth, I think about a dusty road, puddles of mud and water, and the men being chivalrous and helping the women cross over the puddle. And Sojourner was left at the roadside. And that is where that infamous clause came from, well, ain't I a woman too? When I think about Harriet Tubman, who quite frankly was my inspiration during the, yes, you can clap for Harriet, during the period of time that I served as the Speaker of the General Assembly. And I will tell you, I'm going to write a book one day about being a black woman in politics in the state of New Jersey. That's the most important part. But on some of my most trying days presiding over the assembly, I would stand in the well at the podium, I'd look out at the 79 members, and I would say to myself, Sheila, if Harriet could make 30 trips from Cape May County up to the New York line, you can stand here and preside over this foolishness today. I used to say that to myself. So Harriet, it inspired me. Everyone knows that the historical black woman that most influenced me was the late Congresswoman Shirley Chisholm. Now, you know, Terry, who works as my chief of staff, she laughed at me last week because I made a statement and I said, she doesn't take any tea for the fever. Now, see, Reverend McKinney, a lot of the folks, the youngins, they don't know what that means. But when you don't take any tea for the fever, that means you are strong. The fever can't beat you down. You're going to make it through. Well, that is what Shirley Chisholm was as a role model to me. And, you know, this woman coming from a Caribbean island with her parents, coming to Brooklyn, getting an education, not being able to get a job in her field because women were discriminated against, ended up in education when she had majored in business. But you know what? God ordered her steps. Shirley got into politics, got elected to the New York Assembly, and became the first black woman elected to the U.S. Congress. And she wasn't treated kindly when she got to Capitol Hill. And you know, Shirley was put on the Agriculture Committee by Strom Thurmond. Now, you all know who Strom Thurmond was. And Shirley politely went to the office, said, Mr. Speaker, you put me on agriculture. We don't have a lot of farms in Brooklyn, New York. But what we do have are a lot of children that need an education. I want to be on the Education Committee. Shirley Chisholm authored the first federal legislation that funded preschool education in these United States. But what I loved about her, she said she was unbought and unbossed. That's what I love the most. And when I look at all of the historical figures being projected here this afternoon, that is each one of their legacies too. Paul Robeson. How brilliant was Paul Robeson? Not only could he play football and every other sport, he was a poet, an actor, and a social activist, fighting for social justice. Valedictorian at Rutgers, that's correct. But history didn't treat him kind when he was walking in his light. I look at Fannie Lou Hamer, and last Sunday I had the privilege of meeting a man, and I want you to understand, people, our movement has been a movement of all people, not just people of color. And the man I met last Sunday is a man who grew up in Salem County, and he locked arms with Fannie Lou Hamer and helped the Mississippi Freedom Party form. He became an actor, a writer, an author, and he began to tell me that when he went down to Mississippi, they knew they were going to get arrested. And he said, here he's this young white boy from Salem County. Fannie's saying, yeah, we're going to do this. And he said that Fannie had developed a limp, and really her mobility was affected because she had been beaten by the police so many times. And he said to her, Miss Hammer, how do you do this? How do you keep moving on? And he said, Fannie Lou said, because I have no options. Because I have no options. Yes. And I'm here to deliver a message that our generation, we're standing on the shoulders of people who gave up a lot. They gave up a lot. They lived their lives without dignity. They lived their lives with no respect. They were given every single disadvantage you could imagine. But guess what? The black communities survived it all. Survived it all. Now, I just want to fast forward a bit to today. And I love, I see Richard Smith's letter in the journal, and he says, hello, freedom fighters. Well, yes, we do have some 21st century freedom fighters, but we don't have enough of them. You can't go home after work, put your feet up, pop yourself some microwave popcorn, and get that remote. You can't do it. You must get civically engaged. You have to stand up. You have to show up. And every now and then, you got to show out. Every now and then, you got to show out. Because if we do not do what is the theme of this luncheon, community empowerment and uniting, we're going to be left behind. We are going to be left behind. New Jersey is the most culturally and ethnically diverse state in the United States. We are. And I am proud of that legacy in our state. But I also know that we must remember the gains and the progress that we have made. It came with a lot of blood, sweat, and tears from a whole lot of people. And when we have the opportunity to rise up in leadership, we better know who we're in the room representing. We have to know that. We have to know that. And yes, I'm a candidate for lieutenant governor. People ask me, am I excited? No, because I'm not doing anything differently being a candidate for LG than I've been doing my entire life. So no, I am not excited about that. What I am excited about is having the opportunity to be in the room, to advocate for what is important, to make sure there is equal distribution of resources in this state, to make certain that our school systems get the funding that they need, to make sure that our business owners and entrepreneurs have the opportunity to do business with the state of New Jersey out of that $34 billion budget, to make sure when a tunnel is built from here to New York, that there are black construction companies working on that project, to make certain that boards and commissions and authorities, I call them the quasi level of government, they're hidden from public view, but they're controlling resources like you would not believe. The Port Authority of New York, New Jersey, the New Jersey Economic Development Authority, the New Jersey Sports and Exposition Authority. And do you know, on the State Board of Education, there is not one person of color. So how do you look high, down low, and tell us about how we reform our schools when the voice of the districts that are confronted with your policies aren't even represented at the board table? So that is what excites me about being a candidate. But, you know, work is work. We were taught hard work by our forebears. We know of no other way of life. And to my young millennials, I want to say this to you. It's not about the red-bottomed Louboutin shoes. It's not about the Louis Vuitton bag or the cross bag. It's not about your Range Rover. That's not what this is about, young millennials. That's not what this is about. And you have the wherewithal and you have the obligation, when people like me create a path for you, you better strap on your boots and follow me. Thank you.
Let's hear it one more time for Assemblywoman Sheila Oliver. I just said she just spanked my generation. Now I have to come up here and go after her. But I guess I'm ready to work. That was awesome. That was absolutely awesome. If we can't remember anything else that she said, we can take from that work has been put in from our foremothers and fathers. There was a lot of blood, sweat, and tears that were sacrificed. But guess what? There's a pathway for us too. There's work for us to do still. And that's what this event and this organization is all about. All right, so moving right along, we're going to do a few more shout outs. And then you guys can take time and mingle and wait for your lunch to come in. All right, so we have in the building Chef Birdnig of Passaic County. Let's give it up. All clergy members from Passaic County, and beyond, you can please stand up so we can recognize you. If you just wave your hands. Thank you so much for being in attendance and representing your houses of worship. We've already heard from him, but Steve Allen, former Passaic NAACP president. Maxine Baker, former Passaic NAACP president. Calvin Merritt, former Passaic NAACP president. We have Madonna, representing Madonna Multinational Funeral Home. We have Bishop Carney Braggs of Bragg Funeral Home. We have Councilman Dr. Terrence Love from Passaic, New Jersey. He just stepped out of the building, but Mo Farallo, aka Mo, president of Passaic PBA number 14. Dr. Lawrence Everett, former superintendent of Passaic Public Schools. And I'm sorry, no one's less important, but I have to say this. He's a JCSU alumni and it's homecoming, so let's give it up for him again. While I'm at it, HBCU grads and supporters. Nancy Everett, representing the office of Congressman Bill Pastrell. Congressman is so sorry he couldn't be here, but he sent his lovely representative. All educators and school administrators, just stand up, wave your hands, let us see you. Thank you for educating our babies every day. We also have Linda Galashaw from the City Post, the Black newspaper. If you have any stories, if you have any ads or any news that you need to share with our community, please see her. All members of the NAACP, you can wave your hand and show us who you are. Come on now, you know there's a plug coming. You know there's a plug coming. We should all be waving our hands in here. We should all be in the fight and in the struggle. If you are not a member today, today is your opportunity. We do have memberships and we have voter registration drives in the back by the coat rack. Got it? All elders in the building, all of those that have paved the way for us. You might be a seasoned saint, you might be middle-aged on your way there, but just wave your hand and let us know you're here. Let's give it up. Also, I was reprimanded by my dad that when I mentioned freeholder TJ Best, I did not mention that he is an alumni of the Passaic NAACP Black College Bus Tour. All college tour attendees and supporters, just let us know you're here. Thank you for your support. So now we're going to have our keynote speaker for the hour. Okay, we will get to the honorees shortly, but first we want to hear about what we can do to get this work in action. So without further ado, our keynote speaker for this afternoon is none other than Richard Smith, the New Jersey NAACP president. Let's hear him as he comes.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Can you hear me if I don't hold this mic? Can you hear me now? Yeah. Y'all need to clap a little longer. I drove 2 hours and 15 minutes. I didn't really drive, my brother drove. But we still drove together. All right, I'll hold this. Now, I want y'all to work with me on this. Let's make this a conversation so we can move through this expeditiously and I can get out your way. Let's begin. Judges chapter 7, verses 2 through 7. The Lord said to Gideon, "You have too many men. I cannot deliver Midian into their hands, or Israel would boast against me, saying, my own strength have saved me. Now announce to the army, anyone who trembles with fear may turn back and leave Mount Gilead." So 20,000 men left, while 10,000 remained. But the Lord God said to Gideon, "There are still too many men. Take them down to the water, and I will thin them out for you. If I say that this one shall go with you, he shall go. But if I say that this one shall not go with you, he shall not go." So Gideon took the men down to the water. There the Lord told him, "Separate those who lap water with their tongue as a dog laps from those who kneel down to drink." 300 of them drank from cupped hands, lapping like dogs. All the rest of them got down on their knees to drink. The Lord said to Gideon, with the 300 men that lapped, I will save you and give the Midianites into your hands. Let all the others go home. Let them go. We'll refer back to that text. Let it sink in for a minute. Let your mind and your soul marinate on it for a little while. First and above all else, I want to take a moment of personal privilege to thank my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, for blessing me each and every day and for being the source of my hope, my source of peace, and my source of love. I want to thank him for his anointing, for his presence, his power, for you see, he has the grace we need for the test that we face. And I pray that he will endow us and anoint us that we might be used by him to leave here today in all of our imperfections and do things that we have never done before. I bring you greetings from the NAACP New Jersey State Conference, our officers, our executive committee, and members. I say without hesitation or fear of equivocation that there is no branding, none more recognizable in the country when it comes to civil rights, social justice, and equal opportunity. None like the NAACP. For 108 years, we have been at the forefront of the fight for freedom, justice, and equality. Even in the midst of our challenges, in the midst of change and the questions to our relevancy, we remain like no other, the NAACP. I want to thank my dear friend and your president, Brother Jeffrey Dye, for extending this invitation to be here with you this afternoon. I also want to pay tribute to Calvin Merritt, who served you for 24 years. A long time. 24 years, a long time. The hardest opponent that I face in fighting for black people is black people. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. 24 years. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We'll get to that later. I've been asked to share a few words and thoughts with you today. The Lord has laid a word on my heart today. It may not be what you intended to hear, but you asked me to come and speak. Am I right about it? So I have a tendency in my speaking to be like Forrest Gump would say, I'm like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get until you take a bite. So I invite you to take a bite of this word. The Lord has laid on my heart, and if you happen to have any complaints, see Calvin Merritt. I'll let you start with Calvin, then go on up to Jeffrey Dye. To your honorees, I say congratulations, and I want you to know that it's an honor for me to be in your presence. There's not a man or a woman under the hearing of my voice that can say that sometimes, just sometimes, it's nice to hear that somebody appreciates you, right? So my brothers and sisters, I'm glad you, just for a moment, have a little time to sniff those flowers while you still can. Now what I just did is I edified them. I edified these brothers and sisters, right? I lifted them up. We in the community of ebony hue, that means black folk. We need to better embrace the art of supporting one another better than we do. There's a big debate today about using the terminology of black on black crime. Some will say there's no such thing as black on black crime. It doesn't exist. Well, you see, my brothers and sisters, we get it confused. Black on black crime ain't just shooting and stabbing one another. It exists because I experience it and I live it each and every day. My brothers and sisters, when we don't support each other, it's black on black crime. When we undercut one another's leadership because our style is different from theirs, it's black on black crime. When we downplay one another's contributions, it's black on black crime. When we make up lies and misrepresent one another's character and ruin one another's reputation, it's black on black crime. Black on black crime is alive in it as well. And that's an in-house problem that we as black men and women must address. It's the perpetuation of the Willie Lynch syndrome. If y'all don't know who he is, Google him when you get home. It's because we are still in many ways mental slaves. It was my favorite artist Bob Marley who said, emancipate yourselves from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our minds. It's tight, but it's right. Minister Farrakhan talked about it one day, about this thing we call envy. Envy, he said, envy is a disease of the heart that is so rotten that even if you are envious of a person, you would rather see something fail than to see that person you're envious of succeed. That's a hell of a disease that we're afflicted with. It's a germ that's alive and well in every church, every mosque, every black organization. Everywhere you see people coming together, I'm talking about black people, you see us destroy our own work through the envy and enmity that's in the hearts of people. He went on to say further that we need to study the white man. Study the white man, huh? Because he's successful. He makes no excuses for his failures, and they work together in a collective way. We should do the same. Black people are too individualistic. In order to do great things, we have to learn the value of pulling our intelligence, pulling our knowledge, our money, to do the things that will cause us to be honored and respected by civilized people all over the world. I want to give you a little example. It may not be a great one, but I want to give you an example. Now, y'all been listening to all of this stuff going on about the football players taking a knee and all that good stuff, right? Yes, sir. Let me break this thing down. Just give me a minute. Colin Kaepernick. Colin Kaepernick didn't commit a crime. He didn't punch his fiancée in the face or try to cover up a murder. He didn't run a secret dog fighting ring or violently throw his girlfriend onto a bed of weapons. No, Kaepernick's only crime is that he offered an opinion while being black. He happens to be a Kappa, so, I'm a little fond of the brother. Where the noobs at? Y'all got me sitting next to an alpha. I love you, man, panel and the council. And for that heinous act, NFL owners didn't want to have any part of Colin, right? But check this out. The last to flirt with signing Kaepernick was the Baltimore Ravens. Owner Steve Biscotti said the team had considered signing Kaepernick, but had concerns about him hurting the brand. Even more galling is the fact that Biscotti said he turned to Hall of Famer Ray Lewis for advice. Ray Lewis. Yes, a rich white NFL owner turned to a man who lied to police about his involvement in a double murder of a Super Bowl party for advice on how to protect the brand of the Baltimore Ravens. You must have some Ravens fans in here. You can't make this stuff up. Lewis has been very vocal about Kaepernick's situation. Now, a Fox Sports analyst, Lewis addressed Kaepernick and said, if you do nothing else, young man, get back on the football field, and what you do off the field, don't let too many people know. The mistakes that I've made, I never repeated twice, Lewis also said, which is technically true. It's technically true. He only ratted out his friends to have murder charges against him dropped once his life was in jeopardy. Obviously, it's unclear what mistakes Kaepernick has made other than offer his opinion about the state of the world. So what mistakes did he make, right? Fellow sports host Shannon Sharpe summed it up best in an eloquent defense of Kaepernick a few weeks back, noting all the quarterback did was take a knee to protest why he felt African Americans were being mistreated and sometimes killed by police officers in certain parts of the country. The officers that were doing this killing were not being held accountable for their killings. An emotional Shannon Sharpe contended by saying, we keep saying he's disrespecting the flag. We have yet to address the issue of what he tried to bring attention to. We have power that we don't even use. This could have been resolved a long time ago. No need for us to even have a conversation about boycotting the NFL. Ladies and gentlemen, we are only 15% of the NFL viewership. 15%. Yet, we are 70% of the league. Power. 70% of the NFL is Negroes. All the black players had or have to do is say, we not playing until Kaepernick gets a job. He would have a job in 5 minutes. Because believe this, they ain't hardly gonna cut 70% of the league. Power. That's an example of how we don't edify one another. Man, I'm playing, man. Jerry Jones told me not to take a knee. He ain't gonna let me play. You better believe if Dez. Come on, name him over there, CK. You a Cowboy fan. How long that gonna last? Prescott. Zeke. Yeah, there go that season right down the tube. Oh, well, he ain't gonna let us play. Oh, he gonna let you play. Man want his money. He gonna let you play. But it's just a prime example of how we need to support each other better when we do. In times like this, my brothers and sisters, instead of foolishness, we need to stay focused on pursuing justice and liberty. No time to fight amongst ourselves. No time for folks to be not to be engaged in this fight. No time for any of our organizations in this state to be inactive. They need to function and function as they call to function because we need them in order to do this work. Brothers and sisters, we must maximize our talents, our communities, build the troops, and bring in young people. Every leader should be focusing on his or her succession plan that passes the torch to someone younger than ourselves. I'm looking real hard right now. Anything that's living produces, and if you're not producing, more often than not, you dead. So let's put down the foolishness and pick up faith. Stand for what's right. Stand for justice. Stand for love. And when all you've done that you know you can do, just stand. In the words of the late rapper, my favorite rapper, Biggie Smalls, he said, if you don't know, now you know. And I'll end that with family. He ended it with something else. So we must continue to talk to each other, work arm in arm with one another, pray for one another, let each other know that we have one another's backs. It's funny how we seem more often than not to like and love our leaders more when they're dead than when they're alive. Historically, we love Martin King, Malcolm X, Medgar Evers, Marcus Garvey. We celebrate their birthdays or holidays. We'll wear a t-shirt with their picture on it or hang a photograph in our homes. But truth be told, when they were alive, Dr. King, everybody didn't love him. Kicked us back in the same way they do each of us every day. Let's keep it real. We woven this beautiful tapestry of Dr. King. He's our hero, everything a man should be, our champion. We forget that some of our own churches, some of our own people called him a rebel rouser or a troublemaker. There were many black churches, many of our own pulpits where Dr. King couldn't go, and that's a fact. So we must do better by those who are on the front line, sticking their necks out to fight for us each and every day. We put our own leadership in position so we can immediately begin to tear them down. They try to do it with Barack Obama. That's why I ain't got no rap for some of them like Tavis Smiley and Cornell West. I ain't got no rap. I ain't got no rap. Come on. I didn't get invited to the White House. Negro, please. We don't want to be in leadership position, but tell others who are doing the work how to do it. Well, President, you should be doing this. What are you doing? I don't pay me to do this. A lot of people think I get paid. It's volunteer. Volunteer. You look at the dictionary and the word volunteer, you see my picture. I love Jeffrey Dye. I'm here on a Saturday afternoon. Like a fool, I start all over again. I got a 3-year-old home. I could be down playing with Tonka trucks right now. Right? Volunteer. The only way we can make it, my brothers and sisters, is support each other, be sustained by the grace of God. Sustained by the grace of God. It's time to transition leadership to young people. But the problem with the transition is we have not prepared them, nor have we really set an example for them. Problem is, too many of us stand by and accept almost anything. Some of us have let our young people see us at our worst and fail to realize that young people learn what's important by what they see us doing. Many of our young people don't respect us. Many of our own children don't respect us either. Let's be honest. Why is that, Brother Smith? Well, I'm glad you asked. We must question ourselves, adults, as to the example we've set for young people. And have they seen us being inconsistent, unreliable, unaccountable, and unresponsible, sneaking and creeping, dibbling and dabbling, huh? Someone shared a story with me some years ago, the story about a preacher from out of state who accepted a call to a church in Houston, Texas. Now, some weeks after he arrived, he had the occasion to ride the bus from his home to the downtown area. And when he sat down, he discovered that the driver had accidentally given him $1 too much change. So as he considered what to do, he thought to himself, you better give that $1 back. It would be wrong to keep it. And then he thought, oh, forget it, it's only $1. Who would worry about this little amount anyway? The bus company gets too much money, too much fare. They'll never miss it. Forget about it, keep moving. Accept it as a gift from God and keep it quiet. So when his stop came, he paused momentarily at the door as he was about to get off the bus. And then he turned around, he handed the $1 to the driver, and he said, here you go, man. You gave me too much change. So the driver, with a smile, replied, he said, aren't you that preacher, that new preacher in town? So the preacher said, yeah, that's me. So the bus driver said, well, I've been thinking a lot lately about going somewhere to worship. And I just wanted to see what you would do if I gave you too much change. He said, I'll see you in church on Sunday. When the preacher stepped off the bus, he literally grabbed the nearest light pole, held on, and said, oh, God almost sold your son for $1. Our lives are the only Bible some people, especially young people, will ever read. This is a real scary example of how people, especially young people, watch us as men, as leaders, and will put us to test. My brothers and sisters, we must always be on guard. And remember that we carry huge responsibility on our shoulders. When we call ourselves leaders or Christians, you have to watch your thoughts. What do they say? Watch your thoughts, they become your words. Watch your words, they become your actions. They say watch your actions, they become your habits. Watch your habits, they become your character. And watch your character, because it becomes your destiny. We need to assemble a bad army of black men and women, soldiers, if we are going to be successful in this fight. In the text that I read to you, and I told you we'd get back to it, in the text that I read to you, Gideon started out with 32,000 men. 22,000 fearful men left Gideon. 22,000 men who were just making noise, but didn't have the heart for what he was trying to do. He didn't argue with them. He didn't rebuke them. He didn't try to change them. He let them go. My brothers and sisters, this is not a fight for the fearful. You cannot convert the fearful to the faithful. Because the victory is not in converting the fearful to the faithful. The victory is in jobs, it's in education, it's in safe communities, it's in police and community relations, it's in housing and healthcare and criminal justice reform. It's not about straightening out folks who should have been with us but aren't. Let them go. I ain't got time for the foolishness. Let them go. You don't like me, you ain't got to like me. Let them go. 10,000 remain. But the Lord said again, there's still too many. Take them down to the water and I will thin them out for you. If I say this one shall go, he shall go. But if I say that one shall not go, he shall not go. So Gideon took him down. Took him down to the water. There, the Lord told him, separate them. Those who lap the water with their tongue as a dog laps from those who kneel down to drink. 300 of them drank from cupped hands. lapping like dogs. All the rest got out on their knees to drink. You gotta have a dog to appreciate that. Gotta have a dog. You ever have a dog when you're down there drinking? And he watching, ain't he? Especially when it comes to his food, he be eating. But he looking. You get too close, huh? Gotta have a dog to appreciate this. The Lord said to Gideon, with 300 men that lap, I will save you and give the Midianites into your hands. Let all the others go home. 300 men. 300 men. A clear indication that we don't need many. Quantity is not always quality. God wants to give us a crazy victory. The question is, are we ready for it? Let's get ready, brothers and sisters, by making education our number one priority. Malcolm X said, and education is our passport to the future, for tomorrow belongs to those who prepare for it today. We cannot allow our children's minds, the most precious commodity we have, to suffer. We got to get our priorities straight. Got to get our priorities straight. I remember a pastor talked about a woman came in to the church, said she couldn't pay her electric bill, but she had on a fur coat and a cell phone. Got to get our priorities straight. Got to get our priorities straight. Young ladies will sit in a prison visit for an hour, but won't go to the kids' parent-teacher conference for 15 minutes. I work in the prison system, I know. Time to get right. Paying $300 on hair, but looking for a free supply, a free voucher for school supplies. Let's get ready. Let's get ready. Go for the men as well. Or you out here at the strip club, but you won't pay your child support. Priorities straight. Let's get ready. Let's get ready. Let's get ready by voting. NAACP always encourages folks to vote. Vote your values and ensure the politicians you vote for value your vote. We need to hold all elected officials accountable, regardless of who they are. White, black, Hispanic, black, white, black, black. Everybody look like us. Ain't about us. I'm up and down this state each and every day. I got a job. I retired, I get my pension. My check at the first of every month. I'm working again. Nobody gave me nothing. Oh, but a whole lot of folk out here getting paid to look out for us. Hold them accountable. That's a whole different message. And everybody worried about Donald Trump. We need to have a message for any of our folk who may be shaking in their boots about Trump. Oh, I hear them. What are we going to do with that crazy man? He's the president. He don't like black people, and he don't like Mexicans. He don't like Muslims. Maybe so. Maybe so. But who cares? Who cares? My brothers and sisters, we are black folk. We got power. I don't give a damn who he likes or don't like, because we know that the future is not his. The future belongs to us. But we got to vote. Choosing not to vote isn't rebellion, it's surrender. And then lastly, we need to train our young brothers and sisters to become the new leaders of this age. Embrace the Black Lives Matter movement. Embrace those young people. We need their energy. We need their passion. We need their vision. We need their ideas. We need them to be the healing agents of our national world transformation and future spiritual and economic salvation. We need not to let them, rather we need to let them know that there are some battles that are not worth fighting even if they win. And there are others that are worth fighting even if they lose. Tell them that they must keep their goals in mind and make a sacrifice and struggle to bring their goals to fruition. But very few things that are worthwhile in life come easily. Remember that in fighting for what they believe in, we are fighting for a better world. We are using our limited time on this earth to make a difference. By taking some ordinary step to get involved, we can accomplish extraordinary things and bring about extraordinary results. Each of us have been given unique talents by God. We all have been given these talents to make a contribution, to make our communities, our state, our country, and our world a better place in which to live. While it is true that one person cannot do everything. There is something for each of us to do, to fight for, to believe in. My brothers and sisters, those who went before us, they did so much more with less. Yes, they did. We must do more with more. I love when the national board member, and thanks to Sister Dukes in New York, I'm going to be going on the national board in February, and sitting on the board with good folks like that. We try to lead this organization, but it was national board member and State Carolina State Conference President, North Carolina State Conference President, Dr. William Barber. He talks about our forefathers and our civil rights heroes and sheroes and how they did more with less. Yes, they did. And how right Dr. Barber is. He said, with less they beat slavery. With less they beat Jim Crow. With less they beat lynching. With less they beat the KKK. With less Harriet Tubman got 500 slaves out of slavery. She says she could have got more if they only knew they were slaves. She didn't have email. She didn't have Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Snapchat, cell phone, or texting. She didn't even know what Twitter was. She didn't have a car, but she had faith in God. A .38 pistol strapped on her side, moss on the north side of a tree, and a North Star in the middle of a dark, dark night. She did more. They did more with less. We need to do more, so much more with more. We've fallen, my brothers and sisters, but we can get up again. There are those who want us to remain silent, and that's not by coincidence or by happenstance. It's by design. If we're quiet, complacent, disengaged, disjointed, asleep and powerless, buried and laid to rest. But it's like the story, as I get ready to take my seat, story of the old horse. You might have heard it, that lived on a farm. The old horse had been around for a long time and had worked real hard for the good of the farm. The farm owner's neighbors told the farmer, they said, you know what, you need to kill that old horse that's out there in the pasture. They said, that old horse has seen better days. Time for you to go on out there and put him out of his misery. So the farmer said, I can't kill that old horse. He said, the horse has been good to me. He said, he worked and walked in the rain and in the sleet and the snow. He plowed my crops from sunrise to sunset. He pulled the wagons with my crops to the market so that I could take care of my family. I can't do it. I can't kill that old horse. Can't kill him. So one of the neighbors said, well, I'll tell you what. If you can't stand to look at him when you kill him, just dig a hole and put that old horse down in it. And then turn your back on him and take the shovel with some dirt and throw it over your shoulder and cover him up. Y'all a little slow to catch up with this now. It'll hit you when you get home. Y'all don't hear what I'm saying, but every time that old farmer would dig down and get some dirt on the shovel and throw it over into the hole, the old horse would jump up. Somebody know where I'm going with this, right? Every time he threw some dirt in the hole, the dirt would hit the horse, he would jump up. And when the farmer looked around and thought that old horse was gone, was dead and buried and covered up, the old horse, he was standing on level ground. My brothers and sisters, we are the old horse. The enemy is throwing dirt on us. Wall Street is throwing dirt on us. The justice system is throwing dirt on us. The racist right-wing extremists are throwing dirt on us. And what's real sad is that some of us is throwing dirt on some of us, but all you got to do is jump up, get up, stand up. Come on, get on your feet. Jump up, get up, stand up. I'm going home. Good night.
I stand before you this afternoon as the Mistress of Ceremonies, but I also have the distinguished honor to present this award to the former president of the Passaic NAACP. As you watch this historic moment of him receiving this award, walking before you, you will see 24 years of dedicated service to the community. 24 years of instilling values into the families of this community. 24 years of servanthood. 24 years of unselfishness. And 24 years of uniting this great community. This man of God that comes before you today has selfishly given of himself, unselfishly given of himself, unselfishly dedicated the time that he could have been spending with his family just to instill values and to make sure that this great community thrives today. Today, receiving this honor will be the voter registration advocate of the century, will be the greatest DJ of all time, will be the best man that used to serve your needs at the U.S. Postal Service in Passaic, New Jersey. This man is the community. As he comes before you today, I'm asking that you just take his legacy and understand that there's much more work to be done. But this moment right here is well overdue. So without further ado, we honor you, Calvin Merritt.
Feel like I want to let that play. Yeah. Just to that first part. Just to that, you know the part I'm talking about. When they get ready to break it down. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. All right. Thank you, Greg. All right. God bless you, my brothers and sisters. I won't be very long. I had a couple of prepared remarks here, but I'm going to just nix them and just get right to the meat. First of all, I thank God for helping me to understand, I would say maybe about 6 months after being installed as the president, that it was going to be a marathon, not a sprint. And that's important, and I remind Brother Jeff that it's going to be, which you've already seen, that it's going to be a marathon and not a sprint. And I also just thank the yesterday's leadership, their commitment. There's a cliche that I say in the ending 4 months of my tenure, when I was trying my best to train and pass on information to the new officers that were coming in, that my prayer was that they would have the commitment of the elders. And enough. The commitment of the elders. I'm talking about individuals who would say, at 7 o'clock, we're going to do such and such and such and such. And at 6:30, they were calling me saying, where are you? We here. And they had no training with Facebook. They didn't have beepers. They had the commitment of the elders. And except in this award, there should be about maybe 25 chairs or spots up here. And the spots belong to my mother and father, Sandy, for looking out for Nikki when I wasn't there, Nikki, Horace, Cynthia, then Maxine Baker, Roscoe Baker, Louise Davidson, Reverend W.B. Davidson, Minister Charles Gunn. And you know what? If you happen to be here, stand up. And just remain standing just for a second, please. Hattie Anderson. Somebody stand for Hattie. Maddie, Gussie, and MEC Batten. Miss Marguerite Page. Helen Berry. Ruth Coney. Gladys Johnson. Somebody stand for Gladys. Celia Anderson. Barbara Hansford. Sometimes those individuals that were called were just the only individuals that were there to take care of business. And I'll never forget Reverend Davidson said something to me about the next to last year that we did the African American Day Festival, and he said to me, "Yo, Cal, I'm down with you, but this got to be the last year that my mother need to come out to the park at 7 o'clock in the morning and be here until 8 o'clock at night. While young people come and have fun and offer no assistance." We got to fix that. We need to fix that. Patricia Ramsey, Sharon Neely, Nadine Norris, Rodney Creech, Letha Bowie, Evelyn Robinson, and all who have participated as chaperones in 15 years of doing the Black College Bus Tour, taking over 900 students away. Mount Zion Baptist Church, who housed the parent meeting for 11 of the 15 years. The family of Etta Mae Leverett, Dr. Larry Leverett and family. Dr. and Mrs. Lawrence Everett, who supported the endeavors of that Black College Bus Tour. And I don't think they mind me telling you who ensured that young people had refreshments, and people like Wyatt Washington. Yes, who always laid money in my hands. Yes, sir. Said, "I know you're gonna have somebody that doesn't have anything. Make sure they have it. That's right. Don't tell nobody." My church family, Mount Moriah Baptist Church, better known as the Holy Ghost headquarters, who housed the meetings of the NAACP for almost 10 years. First through Pastor Boston Thomas, and then through our present pastor, Reverend Dr. William F. Baskerville Jr., who only said, "Make sure the doors are open." Thank you, Pastor. Thank you, church family. To all the churches, and the ones that I mentioned does not mean that the other churches didn't do anything, because there has never been a church in the city of Passaic and surrounding communities who did not respond whenever I asked. Let me back that up for a second. Whenever I asked, I didn't tell them what they had to do. I asked them to be a partner, and they rightfully and gratefully said, "We'll do it." Thank you to all those churches. Carl Creech, Robin Dukes, Cynthia Thorne, Gwen Beshine, Nikki Merritt, and Reverend Ashley Lipscomb, Rams in the Bush. The question going forward, and I'll just sum it up real quick, where do we go from here? Where do we go from here? We can do like we normally do, and you know what? Looking around the crowd, I'm talking to the choir. I'm talking to the choir. Sheila Oliver came up here. She's running for office. It means nothing if we just clap hands and get excited about her dissertation, and if we don't get excited like we were when Barack Obama was running when it's election day. You have to realize, can't worry about 45. It's time to impact change locally. And then we work our way out from there. The first thing we need to do is to ensure that Sheila Oliver and her running mate get in. And then right after that, we need to get ready for Board of Education and City Council in our own city and stop selling out.
Yes, sir.
Gotta stop. It's impacted our community. I just thank each and every one of you because some of you came up to me when things were on the hot plate and you knew things were going on. And some of you would come up to me and say, brother, Reverend McDowell, I'll never forget how your wife would always come to me and look me straight in the eye and she would say, you all right? When she knew stuff was going on in the community. And I say, I'm fine. She said, I'm just making sure, because you know, God's got it. And she walked on, and that was all I needed. It was a pick-me-up. So I thank you, and I thank her, and I thank your church for always being there. And you are well deserving of this honor, Pastor McDowell. You have been a comrade in arms. Even when people didn't see you, you had my back. And is Reverend Nance still here? Reverend Nance and Reverend Dolly Johnson anointed my head some 23 years ago. And I said, oh, okay, man, they can go on me. At the YWCA. And you know what? I'm so glad they did. Because I can't tell you how many times that oil was a hedge of protection around me. How about it, Reverend Davidson? In that room, when everybody in that room had a pistol except us. And we came out victorious. All right. Pastor McKinney, you have been one of the giants whose feet I have had the privilege to sit at for years. And I shared with somebody earlier this week about back in the sit-in. And I was having fun and things were going on, but as I stayed in that school for those 2.5 days, I was watching what was going on. And I was watching the strategic moves that were happening. And I will never ever forget that night when the police lined that hallway, and I think Brother John was out in that hallway as a rookie cop also, and I was afraid I was gonna get my head bashed in. And Reverend McKinney came and he brought in these brothers with jeans and jean jackets. The Southern Christian Leadership Conference held up a check, a blank check, and began to explain to us what was getting ready to take place. And then he said, for those of you that are 18 years old, you will be arrested. You will be booked. But we will bail you out of jail. And I never forgot that, Pastor McKinney. I never forgot that. And I thank you for your leadership. I thank you for being a soldier in the struggle inside of your 4 consecrated walls and on the outside. All these other things I wrote down, not important. Mean absolutely nothing. If when we walk out this door, we exit and don't serve. All right. All right. If we walk out of this door, if we sat here today and we didn't network with somebody in this room on how we're going to make our community better, listen, the demographics of our community have changed, never to return again. The amount of African American in the city of Passaic is less than 8%. It should be easier for us to do what we have to do. We don't have the problems of a Newark, East Orange. So let's get it done. Election day, everybody in this room, I know you're going to vote because I know you're in the choir, but everybody in this room needs to make a commitment today that on election day, we are going to call 15 people who we know don't usually vote. Yes, sir. Don't call me. I'm going to the polls. Don't call Clayton. He's going to the polls. We know who's not going to the polls, even in our homes. Time for us to start taking responsibility. I'm going to sit down. I thank you for recognizing me. I don't do or haven't done the things that I've done for recognition. I did them because somebody did them for me. And like we said to every one of those young people at the end of those parent conferences before we left on the college tour, you owe. You don't owe the NAACP, you don't owe your parents, you owe to give back to the community where you choose to reside. You owe to continue to link in the chain. I'm sorry I'm going on, but you don't often get the opportunity to speak to the masses and to get people ready to go out for battle, because it's battle, brothers and sisters. We got to realize that it's personal. It's personal. It's affecting our very survival and the survival of our young people. Start with our homes. Let's make sure that everybody in our home is correct. I'm gonna sit down. Thank you. I'm full. Jeffrey, always remember that before you make a decision, before you speak, you represent other people. All right. And you know what? Don't talk stuff about Jeffrey, because quiet is kept. 24 years ago, the word was, oh, the NAACP done elected a DJ as their president. Yeah, you don't think I remember. You don't think I remember. I remember plain as day, but you know what? Bill Murray told me, prove they blank wrong. Thank you, brothers and sisters. I appreciate you. I love you, and there's nothing that you can do about it. Let's get the job done. If you want to thank me, align yourself with the Passaic NAACP.
2017 Annual Freedom Luncheon Community Service Award presented to Calvin Merritt. 24 years of dedicated service to the Passaic NAACP. Calvin Merritt. Chief McCrary.
There you go. Take the picture, man. Take a picture. All right.
Moving on to our next distinguished honoree of the afternoon, which is none other than the Reverend Dr. Louis McDowell of the Mount Pilgrim Missionary Baptist Church. Presenting his award today is none other than Nicole Washington.
Good evening. It gives me a great honor, and it's truly a privilege to present our next honoree. In March of 1984, he and his family, along with 100 plus congregants, marched into the doors of 163 Autumn Street for the very first time. As a working husband and a father of two, he surrendered and dedicated his life to the Lord by accepting the responsibility to nurture and lead the spirit of God's people. He was talked about, doubted, yet pushed through fear and remained faithful, delivering God's word each and every Sunday. God's grace over these past 33 years have proven that he was sent. Fast forward 33 years later, he and the Mount Pilgrim Missionary Baptist Church stand as a pillar in the Passaic community. I can personally say that God has proven his love for me by not only covering me with amazing parents, but also with an amazing pastor who, through his vision and faith, laid the foundation for the spiritual growth for myself as well as countless others. So without any further ado, I present to you the living legacy himself, the Reverend Dr. W. Louis McDowell.
A change had come. Jeffrey died the president. You know that a change had come.
The Passaic NAACP 2017 Annual Freedom Luncheon Community Service Award presented to Reverend Louis McDowell for 33 years of community service. Congratulations.
Can we get a picture together there? Get a picture together.
It's been a long time coming, but I know change gonna come. Oh, yes it will. It's been too hard.
Thank you very much to all of the clergy here today, to the Ministerial Alliance of Passaic and vicinity, to a person that I'm very honored to be always being present of is Dr. Calvin McKinney, who served as the General Secretary of the National Baptist Convention, and to all of my sisters and my brothers in Christ. What an honor it is for me to stand here today with my family and the church family to receive this honor on today. And I must say unto all of you that after receiving the plaque on today, that our job has just begun. As I said in the statement earlier, is that to President Jeffrey, is that we forget those things which are behind and press towards the mark, which is the high calling of God. We must and we have to stop fighting among ourselves and work together, because there's a great work that is out there, and we can do it if we would team ourselves together and make sure that all of us don't try to be the star of the team. May God bless all of you. To my family, to my daughter Reverend Sally, Lisa, my granddaughter Tamara, and to all of you, the members of Mount Pilgrim, Nicole, who was the first baby of Mount Pilgrim in 1984. So y'all know how old she is. So thank you very much for this award on today.
Let's give it up for the distinguished Reverend Dr. Louis McDowell. Last but not least, our distinguished honoree, the Reverend Dr. Calvin McKinney. Presenting his award today will be Sheila Woodson. And now, to the wisest and the oldest, the baddest and the boldest, the most loved and the most hated, the most feared and revered.
Dye, and all of the executive members of the Passaic chapter of the NAACP, to all of the members of that branch, to my colleagues in the preaching ministry who share on this afternoon's occasion with us, and to the honorees tonight, Brother Calvin Merritt and Pastor McDowell, to my wife Brenda, my siblings who joined me this afternoon in this celebration, my nieces, all of my family members, and all of you, my brothers and sisters, we greet you at this hour in that name which is above every name, the name of Jesus called the Christ. I bless God just simply for the privilege of standing in the company of these two and in the presence of all of you to receive what is considered an honor. I came to tell you today that the real honor is not in the plaque nor in the certificate, but rather the honor will be in our living to reach the fullness of our responsibility as brothers and sisters in Christ who live to make life worth the living for everyone we come in contact with. And so to the Calvary Church family, I want to say thank you, because they've been the undergirding, they've been the underpinning of whatever effort has been mine these years to serve God by serving my fellow man. It's been a 45-year trek with the Calvary Church family. But beloved, it began previous to that, all the way back to 1967. 1968, when the privilege was mine to sit in the presence of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. in the city of Paterson, New Jersey, when he came to my home church a week before his life was snuffed out. And beyond that, in the halls of Passaic High School, on the street corners in the city of Passaic, I'll never forget a more formidable moment than in a protest that took us to the corner of Jefferson Street and Main Avenue. Yes, Calvin, when the elders stood shoulder to shoulder with us, young spawns, their children, when we protested, the only way we could figure out getting to the city council to become responsible in serving all of the citizenry of the city of Passaic, we boycotted the stores on Main Avenue. The conclusion was that if you touch them where it will hurt the most, in their purse, they will have to respond. And through the years, God has blessed us to live a life that literally is designed to make life better for those of us who are still yearning and stretching to become all that God has called us and set us apart to be. So I simply came to join with Brother Merritt and Pastor McDowell in simply saying thank you. Thank you, my brothers and my sisters, for coming together on this day. And you've come together in a manner of regeneration, because simply you have declared that you're going to take on this battle anew, and you're going to take on this battle afresh. The sad reality, my brothers and my sisters, is that we're fighting today for victories that we won in the end of the 60s and into the 70s. We won these battles. Our failure was simply the matter that we didn't pass it on to our children, to the next generation. And so now you find yourselves having to fight those same battles over and over again. It is a saddening factor, but it's a factor, beloved, that we've got to take from this place of celebration back to our homes, to our communities, and in the streets until we fight the good fight of faith and hear in response to our fight, well done, thou good and faithful servants. So NAACP, Jeffrey, be reminded of what was said in our hearing this afternoon. First by Assemblywoman Sheila Oliver, who will be the next Lieutenant Governor of the state of New Jersey. And by the President of the conferences of NAACP chapters in the state of New Jersey. That passage concerning Gideon, I have said to Jeffrey over and over and over again that our community has dwindled. Our community has fallen in numbers. But the president came today to remind us that God has always been a victor, not in numbers, but in dedication, in commitment. And so he started out with 32,000, but God granted him the victory with 300. I just said to Jeffrey, leaning over my shoulder, God declared where 2 or 3 are gathered together in my name, touching and agreeing upon the same, there will I be in the midst as well. So Jeffrey, fight the good fight of faith and remain steadfast, unmovable, and always abounding in the work of the Lord, knowing that our labor is not in vain in the Lord. Good evening.
Let's hear it once again for the Reverend Dr. Calvin McKinney. And now we will hear our final remarks and our words of wisdom from the president of the Passaic branch of the NAACP, Jeffrey Dye.
Thank you. Thank you all. I'm going to admit something. Normally, I'm not nervous, but today I am. And Reverend McKinney said, he said, well, won't you just get angry and then you'll start speaking better like you normally do. Well, I'm going to say this. As far as my anger, don't charge it to that. Charge it to my passion to want to see my black community rise. Each and every one of you know that I've been very passionate in this fight. Each and every one of you know that I have not done my best with my mouth. I don't have a bridle on it. And so again, it's just my desire and my passion to want to see us rise in the community. And I know we can do it. I keep hearing the thing of, is so few of us left, but I think you gave the message, Reverend McKinney. I am not a quoter of the Bible, but that message you gave about the few, I think is true. The few should just not give up, okay? And so, yes, I believe that this is God's work. I believe that the churches should be involved in this as well. I look to their leadership. I've been calling on them, and I will continue to call on them. I've made some mistakes in the past, and to those I offended, I apologize. So, I first want to thank each and every one of you for attending the Freedom Front brunch today. I don't take it for granted, nor lightly the fact that you took time out of your busy schedules to support the oldest civil rights organization in this country. I am honored to serve as your president of the Passaic branch of the NAACP at this moment in time. I thank God for giving me the opportunity. I will tell you that I have been listening to each and every one of your voice. I've been calling on the leaders of this community because I can't lead without your guidance, each and every one of you. And I think you all are a leader in your own right. I've asked him to show me how I can be the best president and make this chapter the best chapter in this state. I've asked him how can we ensure our relevance for the year to come. I've asked him how can I advance the mission of the NAACP in 2017 at a time where we have oppressive forces trying to turn back the clock on so many of us, health-wise, care-wise, civil rights-wise. I will boldly say that the NAACP is needed now more than ever before. So I'm going to pretty much do what I've been doing in this community for years, beg each and every one of you to continue to ask the next person to get involved in this process. Making sure each one of us vote. Join the NAACP. There should not be no one in our household who is 18 and available to vote and not registered to vote. Amen. So I will continue that. So in finalizing this program today, I want to thank God for each and every one of you that came here. I want to thank God for each and every one of you that support this organization, and I just ask that you continue. Thank you very much. God bless you. Stephen Allen, could you come up? Steve Allen is the former president and also is my former boss. My first job at City Hall as a bookkeeper, I dropped out of college, but I still got the job. But Steve was my boss in recreation, and I want to thank you for everything. This is a certificate presented to you, Steve and Alan, from the Passaic NAACP as former president for dedication service for the Passaic NAACP Freedom and Fun Luncheon, October 21st. And our theme is, let's organize, unite to empower our community. What was the song? It was George Benson, wasn't it? I sung it all day and I can't remember it. George Benson.
Give me the night.
Give me the night. Thank you very much, sir.
Let's get a picture. Let's get a shot of that. Let's get a shot.
Okay, they want me to insert this and get all this done before it's over. Sheriff Burtnick is presenting these awards to the honorees. And so the Passaic County Sheriff's Office, Sheriff Richard Burtnick of Passaic County, New Jersey, presents the Certificate of Appreciation, Reverend Dr. Lewis McDowell, and appreciation for your accomplishments and contributions and dedication service for the community. Reverend Lewis McDowell. Where's the other person? Are we gonna do the other two? Yes. Okay. So we're going to do another certificate of appreciation, and this one I am honored to do. Miss Nikki Merritt. Please give her another hand. She comes through in the clutch. Miss Nikki Merritt, thank you very much. God bless you. Miss Nikki Merritt, this certificate of appreciation presented to Nikki Ward for your dedicated service. Nikki Merritt, we do that all year. Nikki Ward. Miss Nikki Merritt, how can I forget you? Dedication service to the Passaic NAACP Freedom Fund Luncheon, October 21st, 2017, where our theme is, let's organize and unite to empower our community. Thank you very much. Mr. Harry Puzo. Where you at, Harry? Come on up here, man. Howard is one of our Latino leaders, but originally black. He's Dominican, but he's originally black. So we want to thank you, Howard, for all the work that you've done, man, and you do a lot of work for this organization. I truly appreciate you and your political aspect in the city of Omaha. Everything that you do.
You got it.
So, we're giving you this award, Certificate of Appreciation, presented to Howard Puzo, dedicated service to Passaic NAACP Freedom Fund Luncheon, October 21st, 2017, where our theme is, let's organize and unite to empower our community. Thank you, brother.
Stay there, stay there, stay there. Turn that thing around. Turn it around. Got it.
Miss Audrey Allen, who did a magnificent job seating everyone today, a spectacular job. I want to thank you. God bless. Certificate of Appreciation. Same time. It's presented to Audrey Allen for a dedicated service to Passaic NAACP Freedom Fund Luncheon, October 21st, 2017, where our theme is Let's Organize and Unite to Empower Our Community. Thank you very much, Audrey. You did an awesome job today. You did it without.
Turn it around, babe. Turn it. There we go. All right. Beautiful.
Yes, give her a hand. Thank you very much, Audrey. You did a spectacular job today. Miss Brenda Berry McKenzie, where are you? Our serious enforcer of the organization. She smiles sometimes, but she's so serious it makes us better than what we are. This certificate of appreciation presented to you, Ms. Brenda Berry McKenzie, for the dedicated service to Passaic NAACP Freedom Fund Luncheon, October 21st, 2017, where our theme is Let's Organize and Unite to Empower Our Community. Thank you very much. God bless you. You're awesome.
Turn it around. I'm with you. All right, ready? Right here. Got it.
Ms. Malty will call. This young lady calls me day and night, making sure we do everything we're supposed to do. I want to thank you. This certificate of appreciation presented to you, Malty Bokal, for the dedicated service for the Passaic NAACP Freedom Fund Luncheon, October 21st, 2017, where our theme is Let's Organize and Unite to Empower Our Community. Thanks a lot. I appreciate you.
Come turn around this way. Come on the other side. Come on the other side. Hold it up. Hold it up.
Thank you again, Balti. I appreciate you. Miss Mary Johnson. Mary is another whip of the organization who whips us all the time in shape. Make sure we do what we gotta do, and we scared them up. This certificate of appreciation is dedicated to you, Mary Johnson, for your dedicated service to Passaic NAACP Freedom Fund Luncheon, October 21st, 2017, where our theme is Let's Organize and Unite to Empower Our Community. Thank you very much.
All right. Let's get hold of it. Hold it. Turn it. Then smile. Smile. Then smile. No, smile. Here we go. Got it. Getting it.
This certificate of appreciation is for Marion Joyce Dye. I'm gonna reserve my comments for Miss Marion, because Lord knows, this is my first cousin and I love her to death, but she the hardest on me in this organization. But I thank you. This certificate of appreciation presented to you, Marion Joyce Dye, for your dedicated service to the Passaic NAACP Freedom Fund Luncheon, October 21st, 2017, where our theme is Let's Organize and Unite to Empower Our Community. Thank you for doing an awesome job today. I appreciate you and I love you.
All right.
Mr. Devon Troxler. Did he disappear? Devon is our treasurer / president / vice president / everything. Brother Devon Troxler, this certificate of appreciation presented to you for the dedicated service for the Passaic NAACP Freedom Fund Luncheon, October 21st, 2017, where our theme is Let's Organize and Unite to Empower Our Community. Thank you very much for my appreciation. This is my secretary, my rock, my everything. I don't think I can do it without you. I appreciate everything you've done. The certificate of appreciation is right here. We appreciate everything you do. God bless you. We love you. And thank you. Thank you, dear.
I just hope he calls me in 2 days so we can argue.
No more arguments.
Here. Got it. Great.
I believe everyone who came between these doors have enjoyed themselves. And to the NAACP of Passaic, we want to thank each and every one that came, joined in with us. It's been a long day, but I want to say, sisters and brothers, it was worth it. You think about where God brought us from. It's been a long time. And what he did for us, he worked 6 days, and the 7th day he rested. So I know we can give 1 day to him. And we get together as sisters and brothers in Christ. And when we leave this place, we have something to go out and tell the world. And what we have heard here today, and we apply it in our life, we can go outside of these doors and these walls and tell someone else to help them along the way. Like Martin Luther King did, and many others did. We have been blessed. And we just want to thank each and every one that came today. And Father God, we are standing here, Heavenly Father, we're standing here in your name. Your name is above all names. For your name is worthy to be praised. And we just thank you, Father, for being our Father. And our leader and our God. Father, I know and see where you brought us from. If not, we wouldn't be sitting here today, Heavenly Father, in your name. Father, we beg you to bless each and every family that represented today. There was a lot of people who loved to have been here, but they wasn't able to be here for different reasons. So we have no question about that. But we thank you for the one that was able to come. And we gather in your name. Now we want to go out and apply to the world. And thank you for coming. Be blessed. And we love you all. Amen.